Well, guys, the brake saga continues. So far with the El Camino, the brake issue, I've replaced the master cylinder. I replaced the aftermarket booster with a mini aftermarket booster. No success. Brake pedal changes a little bit. It's a little couple things changed, but no huge improvement. But then I did finally reinstall the factory original booster, and it did improve quite a bit, but it's still not right. I was told early on that, you know, check the vacuum, make sure you got plenty of vacuum, make sure you check your vacuum, and I did. And Willwood was saying that I needed a minimum of 18 inches of vacuum at idle, which I don't have. I have 14 inches of vacuum at idle. And, you know, I just didn't believe him that that was the problem. Well, it probably is the problem because I think that the Willwood brakes are going to require more pressure than the factory original brakes. And the reason why I didn't really believe him about the vacuum is because before I put the Willwood brakes on, I had factory discs, factory booster, factory front calipers, you know, disc brakes. I'd already done the disc brake conversion in the back, the same engine, same vacuum, everything worked the same, but I had good brakes. And I'm just coming to the assumption that the factory calipers don't require as much power assist to operate as the Willwoods do. So I've got a couple of options. One, I could not have power brakes. I can eliminate the power brake booster altogether and put a manual brake master cylinder on the car. Or I could put a very expensive Hydro Boost system on the car, which that's going to give me the premium brake pressure. That's going to work better than anything is Hydro Boost, but I don't really want to spend the money on that right now. So before I go that route, I'm going to try this. This is a reserve vacuum canister that I bought from Summit Racing. And with the canister and the optional vacuum gauge that goes on the canister, shipping included, I think I've got about $71 involved. So if I can put a $71 Band-Aid on this problem and have it effectively operate the power brake booster and give me the proper brake assist that I'm looking for, then hey, I'm not going to put a whatever it is, $800-900 Hydro Boost system on it. So this is the next step. Let's give it a try. It was relatively cheap, and we'll see if it works. Now you can see where my charcoal canister is, and just from eyeballing it, it looks like it's probably going to be a perfect fit for the vacuum canister. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work perfect. The charcoal canister has been removed. The auxiliary vacuum tank with vacuum inch gauge is installed. The vacuum lines are connected. Moment of truth. I'm gonna pull it out first so I don't gas myself out. Well, the vacuum canister is reading 14 inches of vacuum, just like my vacuum gauge did. So, you know, I guess I don't understand vacuum. If you have low vacuum to start with, I'm not sure how the storage canister will help, but we'll see. Well, maybe when you run it down the road and it pulls more vacuum, you gotta let it warm up. I guess that's the answer. That's the answer to my question. Yeah, because it's, okay, I understand now. It's storing, as I gave it more gas and it pulled more vacuum, the tank stores that vacuum. And now it's showing 20 inches of vacuum. Okay, after pumping the brake, it lowered it back down to below 15, but if you're driving and pulling more vacuum, it goes up. All right, let's go for a ride. Yeah, let's see. We'll drive a little bit. I know one thing about the Wilwoods is they have to get warm. They definitely get better as they get warm. Disappointed. Very disappointed. These are definitely getting better the more I drive it, the hotter these Wilwoods get. But yeah, I mean, I can jam the brake on as hard as I can, and I cannot lock up the front brakes. It's drivable though. It's definitely significantly better, but it's not. These fronts aren't grabbing as hard as I think they should. I gotta go take Dad for a ride. Let's see what Dad thinks about the brakes. Backs to lock up a little bit, but
fuck me, these Wilwood brakes are like a lot of that other aftermarket shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to wonder.
I think that there's something f***ed up. Yeah, this car doesn't have good brakes.
No, and it should be superior brakes.
For four-wheel disc, it should be, and it's not. So it's kind of like whatever it is that you did, it's made it worse, not better.
What do you mean?
With the
with the Wilwoods, yeah. Yeah, they're worse than they were when I had factory brakes on it.
Now, did you put the back brakes on first?
Yeah, I had the back brakes on first.
And do you remember if you had...
Yeah, it seemed great. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any problem until I put the freaking Wilwoods on.
Put some gas in my car, will you? Gas bitch, put some gas in my car.
Yeah, I didn't fill it up. Only put 11 gallons in it. What is the gauge? Yeah, the gauge is saying full. It may be pretty close to full. That wasn't very nice calling me a gas bitch.
I thought it was.
I mean, it's definitely better. It's significantly better.
It's better,
but it's not like it should be.
Right.
I mean, if I took this thing on an autocross or something, I mean, it don't.
Wreck.
Yeah, I'd wreck. It don't stop good enough. Or if a deer ran out in front of me or something, you know, I mean, I needed to do a panic stop. I'm not going to stop. Hey guys, hey, it's Saturday, November the 16th, 2019. I've been working on the brakes on the El Camino. I haven't done anything else since I installed the vacuum reservoir, and I'm expecting a brake pressure testing kit today. I ordered it off Amazon a couple days ago, and I should get it today, because that's one of the things that Willwood asked me is what my brake pressure was at the caliper. Because I honestly think at this point, now that I have vacuum, that the Willwoods just aren't biting, but we'll find out. The first thing they asked me is, what is the vacuum of the car? They said you need a minimum of 18 inches of vacuum at idle. I only had 14 inches, so I was under, I didn't have enough vacuum, but I didn't believe them as far as the vacuum, because the car had the same engine, same vacuum with stock front brakes, and they worked great, worked much better than they do now. So I didn't believe them. So I did all the work that you've seen on my videos, and now I'm at the point where, okay, let's do something about the vacuum. So I did a little research, and instead of eliminating the power brake booster, vacuum operated booster altogether and going with Hydro Boost, I decided to try to put a vacuum reservoir tank on to give it a better reserve of vacuum. And because I've read where that's helped cars with performance cams. But anyhow, I put the vacuum reservoir on just above idle. It brings it up over 22 inches of vacuum. It'll store it there until I apply the brake and use up that vacuum. And the brakes are a little better, but they're still not as good as it was factory with drums in the back. And I don't know. The next step in troubleshooting is going to be to see exactly what kind of brake pressure I have at the caliper. I still love it. I love it. I love it every time. Even though I've got old tires that are hard and it's cold, makes it easy to spin. Just being able to do it is awesome. Yeah, love it. Hell, my Amazon order just arrived of something. Ooh, we got a couple things in this box. I think we have a couple of things. We've got one thing for sure, and that is a tool that I've purchased to hopefully help me troubleshoot and properly diagnose my brake problem with the El Camino. Okay, looks like I do have a couple of things. Got some combo pretzel snacks. And what else do I have? I have a pair of Dr. Scholl's double air pillow extra thick cushioning memory foam insoles. Must have. And what I've been waiting on all day, per the suggestion of Willwood Brakes, they want to know what kind of pressure I have at the caliper. So I bought a brake pressure test kit. Hey, good morning, guys. Hope everybody's having a good day. It's another fabulous Sunday. It is November the 17th, 2019, and the brake saga continues. I tell you, I have had a hell of a time with troubleshooting over the last several weeks. I had an issue with my refrigerator, and obviously being a do-it-yourselfer, I'm trying to fix the refrigerator myself. I did fix it, but after $365 worth of parts, the last part that I decided to replace fixed it. But it's still cheaper than a new refrigerator. So anyhow, moving on to the car stuff. So after talking to Willwood Brakes, they suggested first, they asked how much vacuum I had, which they said I needed 18 inches of vacuum at idle. I only have 14 inches of vacuum at idle, so after I put on the reservoir, it will maintain 22 inches of vacuum. So I should have plenty of vacuum for the brake booster to function properly. But I still don't really have a good front brakes that will bite and really slow this car down. I mean, it's drivable, but it's not right. So they asked me what type of brake pressure do I have at the calipers, which obviously I had no freaking idea that there was even such a tool that you can measure brake pressure, but there is, and I bought one. This is a little more elaborate kit than I really need, but it was, spend $50 on a single gauge with one adapter just for the Willwood brakes, or spend $100 on this CBT tools kit that comes with 2 different gauges with a multitude of adapters, which would probably fit just about any brake application that I might run into in the future. Okay, I've got my brake pressure gauge on. I've bled the air out of the gauge, and I'm really just trying to measure what the brake pressure is at the caliper. All right, well, let's start the car and see what happens. All right, we're pressing the brake right now, and the gauge is hard to read because it's metric with kilograms per square centimeter and megapascals, but later in the video I talk about the conversion. But I'm on and off the brakes here, and I'm not pressing super hard. Here I'm racing the engine to build some vacuum to see if that improves the brake pressure at the caliper. And you see it go up just a little bit. I'm still not standing on the brake as hard as I possibly can, but with a little bit increased vacuum, it does increase. Now I'm pressing on a little bit harder, and then I'd let off, but not completely. Now I let off completely. Now I race the engine again, try to build some more vacuum, and it goes over, it goes up to about 60 kilograms per square centimeter. There it's about 50, a little bit more. I'm not standing on it as hard. Now I'm pressing on it a little harder. The car's not fully warm, so it doesn't idle great, but I'm just on and off the brake here. Okay, if I've revved it up a little bit, and I've got about 23 pounds of vacuum, or 23 inches. And if I rev it up, you can see I've got about 23, 24 inches of vacuum, and it's holding pretty steady. Now let's see what I have at the gauge. Now you see it goes way up there. That's with maximum vacuum in the reservoir tank. With me standing on the brake as hard as I can, it'll go up to about 70 kilograms per square centimeter. I mean, I am standing on it. I mean, you would, even under a panic stop situation, you're not gonna stand on the brake with 2 feet as hard as you possibly can. Now I'm racing the engine again just to rebuild vacuum, and let's see where it goes. And that, about 60, there's 70, and that's really it. And I'm just holding the brake right now, and when I'm in the car I'm looking at it on my phone so I can see the gauge. Racing the engine again, a little over 70, and that's really just about it. Well, guys, I've utilized my new brake pressure measuring tool, and it doesn't have PSIs on the gauge. It's kilograms per centimeter and then megapascals, which, you know, I don't know what either one of those mean really, but thanks to my good old buddy Google, the conversion rate for kilograms per centimeter, 1 kilogram per centimeter equals 14.223 psi. And megapascals, 1 megapascal equals 145.038 psi. You know, 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, whatever. So I did my brake pressure test at the right front caliper, and if my calculations are correct, I have, under as hard as I can press the pedal, I mean as hard as I can press it, with the vacuum at its highest rate, the best I could achieve was 853 to 995 psi. More often than not, under normal braking, it was, you know, right around 800 psi. That's not enough. I did a quick, using my old buddy Google again, search to see what the proper brake pressure is, and let's see, who is this? Mark Williams Enterprises Incorporated, whoever the hell that is, said that how much line pressure should you have? And Mark Williams Enterprises recommends that at least 1200 psi system line pressure. I'm not even getting close to 1200, and I would imagine that they would want probably 1200 or more. So now I've got to figure out why I don't have at least 1200 psi at the caliper. Is it booster again? Is it master cylinder? Is it bleeding? What? Why? Well, guys, I don't have very high hopes for my repairs today on the El Camino brakes. I ordered a brake pressure testing tool. The brake pressure is low at the calipers and at the master cylinder, from all indications that I can find where it should be. They're saying at least 1200 psi at the calipers. At best, absolute best, as hard as I can press on the pedal, 900, 950 best. Most, more, I can't even talk, I'm so frustrated. The average PSI was 650, 700, just isn't enough. And I took the factory booster back off and put the aftermarket back on that was matched to the master cylinder. And according to my gauge, the brake pressure is not much better. So I'm going to go ahead and take it for a ride, even though I'm not very optimistic for the results. Hey guys, UPS just rang my bell. I think I may have. There it is. Oh my God. All right, finally, the answer to all my El Camino brake problems. Oh boy, this sucker's heavy.